Welcome to GeoVenture. If you love exploring Earth's extremes, tap like and subscribe for more adventures. Have you ever wondered what it would be like to live in the highest city on Earth? It sounds like the sort of question that ought to have a straightforward answer, a neat little fact you can tuck away and bring out at a party. Oh, the highest city? That's simple, And you'd say the name with a confident nod. We humans adore these kinds of superlatives. The biggest, the smallest, the oldest, the absolute tippy-top of things. It gives the world a sense of order, a tidiness that is, if we're being honest, rather comforting in its simplicity. The idea of a single city perched higher than any other feels definitive, like a final, unarguable truth on a map. But here's the thing about the world. It rarely cooperates with our love for neat labels. As soon as you start poking at the question of the highest city, the whole idea begins to wobble and fray at the edges. It turns out that this seemingly simple query is actually a wonderfully complicated muddle. Before we can crown a winner, we must first agree on the rules of the game. What exactly makes a city the highest? This is where the whole enterprise gets wonderfully sticky. There are, it turns out, at least three main ways to measure this. The first, pure elevation. Looking for the settlement with the highest permanent address, measured in meters or feet above sea level. The purists' approach, highest spot where people live all year round. It often leads to places that stretch the definition of city. Second, population. A handful of huts doesn't make a city. A true city needs substantial people. It needs a critical mass to create the buzz, the commerce, the chaos. So what is the highest city with 100,000 or even 1 million people? That shifts focus from raw altitude to a combination of height and human density. Now that we have our competing definitions, let's meet the main contenders in this high-altitude pageant. Each one has a strong claim to the title, and each offers a unique window into life at the top of the world. Our list isn't exhaustive, of course, but it includes the heavyweights that are almost always part of the conversation. These are the places that have captured the world's imagination as cities touching the sky. First on our list, La Rinconada in the Peruvian Andes. Then, neighboring Bolivia, a country that could be called the world champion of high-altitude living. Bolivia brings two contenders, El Alto. El Alto, a modern marvel sprawling above La Paz. Potosi. Potosi, a ghost of past glories built on a mountain of silver. Next, across the globe to the Tibetan Plateau, home to Lhasa. Lhasa holds an undeniable mystique. Each of these places, La Rinconada, El Alto, Potosi, Lhasa, represents a different kind of highest. If your only criterion for highest city is pure, unadulterated elevation, then La Rinconada in Peru is almost certainly your winner. Nestled in the Andes at a staggering 5,100 meters, that's nearly 16,700 feet. To put that into perspective, you are higher here than at the base camp of Mount Everest. The air contains only about half the oxygen you'd find at sea level, a fact that hits you the moment you arrive. Every breath is a conscious effort. Every step feels like you're wading through molasses. It is, without exaggeration, a place on the very edge of human tolerance. So why would anyone choose to live here? The answer is as old as civilization itself. Gold. La Rinconada is a boomtown, chaotic and largely lawless, grown around a gold mine. The town is a ramshackle collection of corrugated tin shacks, clinging to a glacier-scarred mountain. There is no sanitation system, no running water, very little organized governance. If La Rinconada represents the raw, informal edge of high-altitude living, then El Alto in Bolivia represents its bustling, modern face. Sitting at around 4,150 meters, 13,615 feet, not as high as the Peruvian mining town, but what it lacks in sheer elevation, it more than makes up for in population and urban energy. With over 1 million residents, it is widely considered the highest major city in the world. It began as a poor satellite settlement for La Paz, which lies in a canyon just below. But in recent decades, El Alto has exploded, developing its own powerful identity and becoming one of Bolivia's most important economic engines. Life in El Alto is a whirlwind of activity. It is a city of traders, entrepreneurs, and a fiercely proud indigenous Aymara population. Its streets are choked with minibuses, its skyline a forest of half-finished brick buildings, and its open-air markets are among the largest in the world. The city has its own international airport, a public university, and a growing network of cable cars that connect it to La Paz. Just a few hundred kilometers away lies Potosi, a city that tells a very different Bolivian story. Leaving the Americas behind, we travel to the roof of the world, the Tibetan Plateau, to find our next contender, Lhasa. At an elevation of about 3,650 meters, 12,000 feet, Lhasa is significantly lower than Rinconada or El Alto. So why is it always in the conversation about the world's highest cities? Because for centuries, it has been the undisputed cultural, religious, political heart of a vast, high-altitude civilization. It is, by any measure, the most famous high-altitude city on Earth. To walk through the old Barkor neighborhood surrounding the temple is to step into a different era. Daily life in traditional Lhasa was, and in many ways still is, deeply intertwined with faith. Today, Lhasa is a city of contrasts. New roads, high-rise buildings, a railway and a bustling airport have transformed the once isolated capital. Yet, despite the changes, Lhasa's spirit endures. So, after our whirlwind tour of these remarkable places, which one gets the crown? What is the highest city on Earth? The truth, as you've likely gathered, is that there is no single satisfying answer. The simple myth of one highest city dissolves into a more complex and far more interesting reality. The title you choose to award says more about your personal definition of city than it does about any single place. It's not a failure to find an answer. It's a discovery of multiple truths. Each contender holds a legitimate claim depending on the lens you use to view it. If you are a purist obsessed with raw altitude and human endurance above all else, then the inhospitable, gold-fevered settlement of La Rinconada, Peru, is your champion. It is the highest place where a large group lives and works year-round, a testament to human grit. If you believe a city requires vast population and a modern economy, then El Alto is the undeniable winner. If your heart lies with history and legacy, you might pick Potosi, built on a mountain of silver, or Lhasa, the ancient spiritual heart of a nation. The real answer isn't a name, but an appreciation for the many ways humanity has learned to live and even thrive at the top of the world.